Today we're going to talk about just finding the humor in having a child with a disability, because really, laugh or cry, it's up to you. So in all situations, I'm always trying to find the humor in it and lighten things up, and that's just how I deal with things. Just for somebody who is a little bit more high-strung and a little bit more of an anxious person, I have to be really careful about not always looking for the negative, but always looking for the silver lining, and humor helps me deal with that. There's just been, so many times that I can just think of about that humor has just made some really hard times livable. So I came from a Catholic family, and when my first son Ryan was born and baptized, we asked my aunt and uncle, a favorite aunt and uncle, to be Ryan's godparents. And I knew my best friend Jamie her feelings were really hurt that we didn't ask her to be Ryan's godmother, but at the time she was engaged, she wasn't married yet, and just the background that I came from, everybody really felt like that godparents, a child should have a godmother and a godfather. So we decided, to wait until Jamie was married and she would maybe be the godparent of the subsequent child. So as it works out, Jamie, my very best friend Jamie, who I met in the 5th grade, and we're still wonderful friends today, she is the godmother and her husband is the godfather of Brad. And it really worked out for the best, because I can't imagine anybody else being Brad's godmother than Jamie, because she went through so much of the diagnosis and just the pain, and she was really a true friend during all this time. But I will just never forget this, that we're going through the baptism ceremony, and she's and her husband are part of it, and they're holding the baby, and the baptism is going on. And then when it was all over, she turned to me and she said, "Oh sure, give me the defective one." And she and I just burst out laughing, but there are a lot of other people around us that just had mortified, terrified looks on their face. And that really just, again, is one of those memories that I'll never forget. But as a parent of a child with a disability, you quickly figure out that, you have to laugh more than you cry, or you will just be paralyzed. And she had a sense of humor about it, and I had a sense of humor about it. And so that's kind of been my philosophy. And I'm not saying that it's a laughing matter having a child with a disability. There's certainly nothing funny about it, but sometimes funny things happen, and you just have to, take advantage of them and not take everything too seriously, because it can just drain you. I just remember another story is just one time when Bradley was young, his older brother was having a slumber party, and all the boys were there, and Ryan's about 3 years older than Brad. So they were maybe 12 and Brad was 9-ish, but all the boys were there and they were talking about, well, I'm a Patriots fan, I'm a Colts fan, I'm a 49ers fan. And then, I'm looking at Bradley to see, what he's going to come up with. And then his brother Ryan said, "Brad's a ceiling fan." And so again, he didn't really have a football team that he followed, but everybody knew that Bradley loved ceiling fans. So it just cracked everybody up, and it made Bradley a part of the situation and the group. And instead of us being like, "Oh no, Brad doesn't like a football team," and now he's a die-hard Patriots fan, I have to say, which is very hard, living in the Midwest, living in Indiana. But anyway, so I just think it's really, important that, things get just too serious, find the humor in it. And we all have just funny stories that we can tell about our children, just like our typical children. They do funny things and they do silly things and stories you want to share. And I think it's just the same with our children with a disability or our children with autism. They do funny things too. We have to find the humor in it, and we have to be able to share those too. And we're not, laughing at them, but we're saying this person did something really, really funny and really silly and really clever, and I just want to share it and just enjoy it, enjoy them and their personalities, because they bring so much to just our life. And if we look at everything that they do as being wrong or different, we're just gonna just have a terrible time, getting through this. And I think if we accept them and some of their quirks and some of their differences and can look at it in a positive light, it's just going to make more people accept them and them even accept themselves in a way. So that right there was just an example of how it's so important and how it taught me that I have to find the humor in things. Just like everybody, we are all part of humanity and have our own sense of humor, and I think by appreciating some of the humorous things that happen with our children with disability is really a way to include them and really be inclusive of everybody. So please, let's celebrate all of this, and please share your comments, share some stories in the comments about your child and just how humor has gotten you through a difficult situation. We'd all love to hear them.